Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, sometimes there's nothing really worse than not knowing, and if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean that you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I am the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals. We pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more enlightened in a conversational fashion. You know, if you like how we do things around here, I will assume that you do, because you're listening, so please keep listening, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, give us your 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere, places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google, and plus we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel, so if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we would absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Letterboxd, the TikTok, the Threads, the Blue Sky. I'm losing track. We're everywhere at In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it all that much more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please do us that ultimate kindness, come on by and pay us a visit. On this episode, we get to take a look at a thoughtful, a really interesting piece of Canadian indie cinema that is playing at the Carlton here in downtown Toronto as we speak. I can't recommend it highly enough. It is called Inedia, and it's the story of a woman who, after dealing with a series of mysterious and debilitating allergic reactions to food, this young woman joins a radical community of people who claim to be nourished by light. But the longer she's in there, the more she realizes things are not quite as they seem. And I mean, this is really an interesting movie because it plays with ideas of obsession and also with cult and a little bit of sci-fi and also just sort of man's inhumanity to man and how we need to be a little kinder to ourselves and sort of more understanding of those conditions and the things that we can't see, and just be more understanding of people and not sort of force upon them our expectations of how to act and how to be. There's no right answer, and everyone has to deal with it differently, and everyone's going to respond differently, and that's just sort of the way it is. And we had the unique pleasure of sitting down and talking with the star of the movie, the one and only Amy Forsyth, who you may know from a few different things like Gilded Age. She's in The Novice. She is an up-and-comer, to be sure, but she is she really works her ass off in this one and does a great job. And we can't recommend it highly enough. And it's really one of those films that we're proud is made up here and proud is Canadian. And well, that's about it. You know, it's one of those. You got to see it to believe it. It's really introspective, thoughtful, well done drama, and I think a really good example of the quality of Canadian cinema that's being output right now. And like I said, go see Inedia in films, at the Carlton Villa or wherever you see it, wherever your listings are. And now it's going to be opening in Vancouver and a few other places as well. But first, enjoy our talk with Ontario's own Amy Forsyth, because it's a darn good one. Well, I mean, I guess just to kick this off officially, I mean, obviously, congratulations on the film.
Thank you so much.
I absolutely loved it. I mean, it really is this sort of interesting, sort of psychological character study, because, I mean, again, there's so many layers of things going on, at least for me. I saw this sort of story of sort of our general mass unacceptance of, people who have issues that you can't see, and sort of that understanding therein. And I mean, I'm kind of curious, like, when you first saw the script and when you first got the call, what were sort of your initial reactions to this character and the story?
Yeah, I just loved the script. I thought it was such an interesting backdrop for this sort of topic and to sort of explore the health issues or mental health issues. But I loved the world that Liz created, and I remember being so excited about it, and then I kind of didn't hear anything for a while, and then I booked a play, and I was so excited about the play because I grew up doing theater, and I live in New York, and so I booked this off-Broadway play, and I was so excited. But in the back of my mind, when I first got the initial email about this audition for this, I was at my grandparents' place, and we were out on the boat on the water, and I got the email, and I looked at it, and I, in my gut, said, I'm going to have to pull out of the play. And I hadn't even auditioned. It was just a gut feeling about it. And, I loved, as soon as I read the log line, I was so interested. So it pulled me. I was so devastated to drop out of the play, but couldn't miss the opportunity to do this film.
There really is something about this universe and this character where, like, you got to be in the right mindset. Like, I mean, and obviously, independent Canadian film, you don't necessarily have a lot of time. You just sort of hit the ground running.
Yeah.
How did you find sort of the headspace for this character?
I was just saying to somebody else, I was like freshly on antidepressants when we were shooting this, and so I was just having the time of my life. Nothing was taking me down, but which, yay, shout out to those. But I think Liz just created a really safe space, and so did our producers, and we had an intimacy coordinator to discuss sort of the heavier topics and the heavier shooting days where we're exploring some, bulimia and things like that. So, there were definitely heavy days, but I don't know. It was not. It didn't drag me down too much. I think Liz was sort of our guiding light, and we kept it light when we could.
I mean, it's this really interesting dynamic because it's playing with the idea of a cult, but it's kind of not at the same time, and it's kind of straddling the line. And I mean, Suzanne is obviously fantastic in this.
She's perfect.
And I mean, how is she as sort of a scene partner to sort of bounce things off of? I got to imagine that was a lot of fun.
Oh, she's incredible. She's the best. Yeah, and we were staying in the same place too. We had these little cabins on this little lake, and we would go over, and Liz and I went over one morning, and she cooked us this, she was like, it's no problem, but she cooked us this elaborate breakfast. It was just, she's just so wonderful. She's such a loving, caring, silly person. And she was great. She was, but then the camera rolls, and she's just so captivating, and almost like, it's just a little spooky, a little menacing, but she's just, she's a delight.
I mean, I got to ask, because obviously this film does have issues of bulimia and things like that go on. Do you go for it? Like, do you stick your fingers down your mouth yourself and do it, or do you sort of rely on special effects or let them sort of cut away kind of
Well,
thing?
that was a big, and it's like, I don't mean, it's kind of it feels like a funny question to ask, but like, it's a great question, and it's something we talked a lot about, and we also have Jason, who was in our art department, I think did props for this, and we were coming up with the correct consistency for when she does do that, and it's like a very, very important part of the process. It was an important part to make sure that it was right. It just needed to be right because it's such an important and sensitive topic, and we were very cautious about that whole thing, and I did I mean, I have a kind of a crazy natural cough that's quite jarring, and I think that really did lend itself to those scenes. But you sort of, there was a lot of care when it came to shooting those scenes, and how far we took things, and it was always sort of it was up to me and whatever I was comfortable with, and I went as far as I was able to go.
Well, and that brings up yet another sort of, I guess, use for the intimacy coordinator, because on one end, you want to do it as an actor, you want to go there, but at the same time, it's like, do I want to go there? Like, this could be hard. There's and that's what weird stuff going on.
Yeah, that's what Tommy was there for. Tommy was amazing. Tommy Greaves, our intimacy coordinator, and she just, it's funny, when Liz said that we were going to have an intimacy coordinator, I thought, that's such a good idea. I think so many people think about intimacy coordinators being used specifically for sex scenes and sort of, raunchier things, and we need emotional intimacy coordinators. We really do, and because it can be hard to come down from too, as an actor, when you're doing something so physical, it can stay in your body often it does stay in your body after the camera's cut, or even at the end of the day. So it was really helpful to have somebody there to sort of help facilitate getting that out of your body and doing other physical things to help you sort of release that a little bit.
No, I mean, I'm kind of curious, how was this whole process for you? Because obviously you've had a great run on Gilded Age, Allergy and The Novice, and you've done some great stuff. I can imagine getting the call for sort of Canadian indie. It's
Yeah.
like yay, but also at the same time, it's a bit. I can imagine a little bit of trepidation at the same time.
I think that's up to that trepidation is reserved for my team. They're the ones that are like, okay, well, how much does it pay? And but you know what? I will shout out my team because and I've been with them all from the beginning, right from the jump. They care so much about what I want and how I want my career to go. They know. They'll send me an email and they'll say, hey, here's a micro low budget indie. You're probably going to love it. So do it if you want to. And they are game. They're so game for me to do indies. And that's my favorite. I mean, I love being on, a big TV show and doing big films, but there's something to be said for indie filmmaking. That's why I keep coming back to it. I'm like, I just care about interesting stories with cool people that want to put in the work,
Well, yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing about this film, because it's one of those things where it's such a really interesting yet understated story of women trying to support women, and just sort of having sort of that space of not trying to be judgmental and being supportive regardless of either the mental health condition or sort of the state therein of the individual. It really feels there was a real purity to sort of the, we're in this together, let's figure it out.
Totally. Yeah, I think that is, we were talking earlier today with some people about what draws people to cults, let's say, or communities, and I think so much of it is just that we're all looking for acceptance in some way, and I think that's what Cora is she's looking for a solution to something that she's been struggling with on her own for so long. She's felt so isolated, even by her own loved ones, that she sort of is relying on herself, and so to find a community of people that are so open and willing to support her was what draws her in. But
How do you think something like this comments on just, I guess, the general need to kind of be nicer to ourselves, just sort of on a whole?
Yeah, I think it's huge. And also, like, people, you have to try things to figure out what works for you. And even, with the backdrop of her food allergies, she's tried so many things, and this is sort of another thing that she's hoping will work. But I think, I don't know, there's so much pressure to get things right the first time. We don't want to be bad at things in life, and I don't want to be bad at things. And I think it's important that we go back to that sort of childhood naivete. I think it can be a good thing. It's good to be bad at something. It means that you have room to grow. And I think, trying, I don't know, just trying different.
Well, and self-care as well, right?
Totally.
Because it's not one of those things where, especially when, somebody's grieving or there's a problem in the world, people want to know how to respond.
Yeah.
How should I respond to the things that you're going through? When in reality, it's like, fuck you, I don't know how I'm supposed to respond.
I don't know how
to
I'm
things
supposed to respond. And there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution to any of these human struggles that we all experience. So, there is definitely some, we need to be more graceful and gracious to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm curious, and this is a silly question, but it's one I always like to ask. Like, was there a moment, sort of as a young woman, just watching a play, watching a TV show, watching a movie, where it was like, ding,
that's what I need to do? Yeah, there were a few. I grew up in Stouffville, and our apartment it shared a driveway with this dance studio that I eventually did go to, but I would stand on our deck and watch the girls in the window dancing, and I was like 3, but I remember standing there and watching it, and I knew that I wanted to do that. And then through ballet and through dance, I was on stage and fell in love with it. And then 2 things: I saw Mamma Mia when it was on tour here years and years and years ago, and that was the first time I'd ever seen a theatrical performance, and I knew I needed to do musical theater. And then I watched the movie Dreamer with Dakota Fanning.
Oh, love it. Okay.
And it was the first time I had seen it. I bring this up all the time in interviews, which is so funny. But it was the first time I saw a young girl on screen and realized that I didn't have to wait until I was an adult to pursue the thing that I loved. And then my mom made me wait anyway. And honestly, thank God, shout out to my mom. But at a super young age, then was like, oh, I can do this now. I can be an actor now. And it made it feel that much closer. So Dreamer and Mamma Mia and York Dance Academy or whatever it was called at the time. Those are the things that pulled me in.
No, I'm curious. Is there a moment for you working on something like this? Because like you said, you've got some credits, you've done some really great stuff, but you're top of the call sheet. It's like, is there a moment where that kind of kicks in and goes, okay, I better not screw this up? They're kind of looking at me.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some pressure, but for me, I mean, I had done a mini series where it was same thing. I was at the top of the call sheet, and but it was still, even like this, it's still such an ensemble piece in my mind. I think that the biggest responsibility you have when you're at the top of the call sheet is to make it a safe environment for the crew and for the other cast members. I think that's my biggest takeaway when I'm in that position, is that people are looking to you to see how you're going to react to when we run out of film or we lose the light, or I think it is sort of your, maybe some people don't think of it as their responsibility, but I think it's an honor to be at the top of the call sheet and to create that safe space for everyone. So there is some pressure, but I think of filmmaking as such a team sport that I just, I don't really get in my head in that way, because we're all just doing it, right? We're all in it together.
Well, it's such a weird dynamic too, because on one end, like if you get called in for a one shot on a network procedural or something, you're in, you're out, it's a job.
Yeah.
Something like this, obviously there's more emotion attached to it. You're more emotionally invested in it. Like, how do you as a performer sort of balance the two? Because on one end, there's going to be parts of this that are going to stay with you, versus okay, that was a nice paycheck and it did that, but okay, moving on.
I feel like I learned something from every job, even if it's something where you're sort of quick in and out.
Right.
I've learned something from that too, whether it's just how to sort of plug in and do your job but not disrupt the flow that they've created as a show that's already running, maybe.
For sure.
Or, something like this where we're in it for the, the long haul, being the 18 days that it took to shoot or whatever. I don't even remember how many days, but it's different, but I think I sort of look at it all the same way.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, how would you, as the actor, sell this film to someone? Because there's a little bit of sci-fi, there's a little bit of emotional drama, there's a lot of elements and genres that are kind of commingling in this.
Totally. It definitely crosses. I don't know how I would pitch it to somebody. I mean, I think there is an element of it that feels like a thriller. Maybe a psychological thriller. But I don't know. I'm not good at the synopsis or the pitching. That's why I'm an actor. Other people can give me the words to say, and then I'll say them. But maybe a psychological thriller.
So are you the actor who wants to direct, or are you just happy to act?
Oh, I do. No, I do have the directing bug for sure. I have the directing bug and the producing bug and a little bit of the writing bug, but I just don't think I trust my voice yet. I don't think I have a story that I need to tell, and I think until then I'm sort of waiting for that dire need.
Well, one day
write
I'll love it.
something.
I can't wait to see it. But I mean, just again, congrats on this. It's a great
Thank you
piece of
so
work, and
much.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. You can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.